Hey guys, welcome back to MT4 Racing. Today we're covering the story of the 2-hour 40 IMSA Endurance race at Belle Isle. So jumping straight into qualifying here, it's a nice sunny day here in Detroit. This is an IMSA race, so we're racing with GT3s, LMP2s, and GTPs. Me personally, as you see, I'm in the Porsche GT3 for this race, and I'll let you watch along for the first qualifying lap. Now completing my first time lap, I finished with a 1:30.9. This isn't a bad lap, but definitely a lot to improve on. Now completing the second and final lap of qualifying, I got a 1:30.2, which is much closer to what I was aiming for. So for the start of the race, we do get the green flag before the final corner, so we do check up a little bit, but once we hit the straight, we almost instantly go single file. I'm almost instantly on the bumper of the Ferrari ahead. Going into turn 3, I'm looking to make a move, but do it safely, so I go to the outside, heading into turn 3, just in case anything opens up or he backs out, giving me the position. The Porsche behind us almost rear ends us from a little bit too confident on the brakes, but thankfully there's enough of a gap and we walk away without any damage. Coming out of turn 3, me and this Ferrari are still side by side. We have a pretty matched run headed in turn 4, still side by side through there. Coming out of 4, we get a little bit of better exit going down towards 5, and with the angle of 5 in the wall, the way that comes in, the Ferrari just backs out, not wanting to risk hitting the wall or I. Little clip of all the classes coming through turn 11. So the pink car you see up ahead on the left is a damaged GTP, which slows down the two cars in front of me, allowing me to rocket right up to them. Going into lap 3, I'm looking to get the tires up to full temperature, feel out the pace that I can consistently do, as well as feel safe whenever I can. Now on lap 5, we've kind of created a little group of 5 cars now that all have similar pace, and the BMW hits the wall a little bit on exit of turn 2, slowing him down, giving not only me but also the Mercedes behind me a good run on him. We ended up going 3 wide before going back to a 2x2 kind of situation before we go through the corner and end up mostly single file at the exit of turn 3. Now going into turn 3 again, the Mercedes ahead makes a move on the Porsche. This opens up a gap on the inside, which I just follow through and also gain the position. Now lap 13 here, it marks the beginning of our multi-class traffic. Now on lap 20 we have this weird encounter with the same Porsche from lap 1. And on lap 21 we get our first taste of LMP2 traffic. Still through all this, the Mercedes, myself, and the McLaren behind all stuck together. On lap 22, the McLaren behind gets a good run out of turn 2 and makes a move at the inside turn 3 to take the position. Now going into turn 12, I'm a little bit late on the brakes and have to overslow to prevent hitting the wall. This drops me back from the Mercedes and the McLaren and close to the BMW behind. And I got a little bit closer to the wall than I originally thought that I had when I was driving. And to add on top of that, later, the next lap, going into turn 3, I missed my braking zone and unfortunately have to back out of the corner to prevent hitting the wall. Now coming around the corner, on the same lap, exiting 5 heading towards 6, I see the BMW is now backwards off the racing line on the inside of turn 6, and he has a very interesting way of getting out of the way. Unfortunately for him, it's just an unlucky spin, and because it's a street circuit, there's walls on both sides, not much area to go. Now, what I find confusing is you see that the dark line is the racing line. It's the line that most cars are going to be taking, and he's on the inside of it, and he's not touching the dark line in any way, so he wouldn't be hit if he didn't move. So it's a little bit interesting that he decided to reverse. Now on the outlap from our first pit stop, we catch a little jump scare from a blue and red Porsche perched up on the corner. Definitely an interesting choice to drive back up onto the curbing, because like earlier he's not on the racing line, but I mean nobody was harmed in this move, so coming out of the pits, the leader for GT3 is coming out of the pits and ends up spinning through turn 2. Unfortunately gets T-boned by an LMP2. He gets it going back down the straight a bit before it ends up just snapping on him due to the wheel damage. And this is another position gain for us. Now, skipping ahead to lap 65, because this stint was pretty boring as I was just by myself. A little scuffle with this Porsche GTP here, going back and forth a couple times, coming out of turn 12. Now, throughout this whole stint, I was fuel saving a little bit, but I was mostly trying to catch up to the Mercedes that was in front of me, the silver and red Mercedes from earlier. It was about 15 seconds in front of me at this point. So slowly throughout this stint, I was gaining maybe 2 or 3 tenths a lap on them, sometimes 4 or 5, depending on traffic and stuff. It took me all the way until lap 81 before I got inside of his slipstream. This is when I officially counted as catching up to him, but I mean, I technically been following him for quite a ways, maybe 10 laps before that. lap 88. The Mercedes ahead heads into the pits for the final time, and I follow ahead on lap 89. Coming out of the pits, I was about 8 to 10 seconds ahead of the Mercedes, I believe. I believe that I did not take tires this pit stop, and the Mercedes did, so that gave me that time advantage. But throughout this entire next final stint, the Mercedes was essentially hunting me down, slowly closing the gap, about 4 to 5 tenths a second per lap. So skipping ahead to lap 99, the Mercedes is closing in quite a bit. At this point, it's about 2 to 3 seconds away, but time's running out in the race. So skipping ahead to lap 106, this is the last lap of the race, as you can see with the white flag. Throughout this lap, he makes pretty good progress, getting all the way down to 1.5 seconds was the closest I believe he got. But thankfully, with this being the last lap, I was able to maintain P2 in this race, and with a good finish. Overall, it was a really fun race, very long, 2 hours and 40 minutes. The yellow McLaren from earlier actually finished in P1, but thankfully that McLaren and this Mercedes were pretty clean drivers, tons of fun to race with. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.